In this part of the tutorial, we're going to go on from completing our shoes to working on our legs. The first thing we're going to need to do is to stuff. So I've got some polyfill here, and then for our skin colour, I've got some Hayfield DK in mink, which I thought was quite a good skin colour. If I just open that up to show you, it's slightly different colour from the one I've used before, which was a beige colour, but I quite like this one. So let's see if I can get a decent centre pull here. Probably not. Oh, look at that. No, absolutely not. Right, okay, there we go. So I'll just find the end of this halfway down the ball, I suppose. There we go, finally found the end. And I'm just going to take some of my polyfill, and then I'm just going to stuff my shoes a little. Just to give them a bit of shape. And we're going to do this on both of the shoes. And you don't want to go all the way up because we are going to be working in there, and then you'll get polyfill. So once you're happy and they're similar in size, like so, we can move on to our next part, which is to start creating our legs. So we're going to first of all create a slip stitch, and we're going to join on at the back of our shoe. And once we are attached, we're now going to be working in the back loop only, and we are going to be doing 12 single crochets into the leg. And there's one stitch. I'm going to pull that nice and snug. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. I'm going to slip stitch into the top of our first stitch that we did here. Once we've done that, we are then going to go into our first stitch and we're going to put in 12 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Once we have our 12 stitches in this round, we're going to go and we're going to do 3 more rounds of 12 single crochets. So here's round 1. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So once we have this row, we're now going to do 2 more. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And then we're going to do another 3 final row, sorry, our final row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So once we've got to this point, you may find it beneficial to start to stuff the leg a little bit more, just because as you get higher and higher up, it'll become more and more difficult to stuff. So we don't want it too thick because obviously it's a leg, so obviously we don't want it wider than the shoe. So we're going to put a little bit less stuff in this leg part than we did in the shoe. Okay. For our next row, we are going to start to make an increase in here. So we're going to start to make our increase. I'm going to pull up a loop and I'm going to put a stitch marker in our round so we know where we started. And then I'm going to put in 3 single crochets into the next stitches along. So 1, 2 and 3. Once we have those, we're going to put an increase into the next stitch. So we're going to put 2 single crochets into that stitch. And then we are going to put in 3 single crochets into the next consecutive stitches. So 1, 2 and 3. Then we are going to put an increase into the next stitch, so 2 single crochets into that one, and then we are going to finish that round with 3 further single crochets. Once we have got to that point, we are then going to do 9 further rounds of single crochets into each of the stitches. So 15 single crochets in each stitch for the next 9 rounds. So this is round 1. For our second round of our 15 stitches, I'm just going to do exactly that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 and 15. Now we're going to go on to round 3 and we're going to repeat exactly the same again. So 1, 2, 3, oops, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 and 15. We're now going to go on to round 4. So again, we are going to do the same. We're going to repeat the 15 single crochets all the way around. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and for our row 5, again, we're going to do exactly the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 and 15. I am now going to do for round 6, 7, 8 and 9, so 4 more rounds. I'm going to do this off camera and then I will come back to you. It's exactly the same, we're just repeating all the way around until we have finished. Whilst we're doing this as well, you can continue to stuff the leg. So probably about here is a good time to continue to stuff, else it might get a little bit trickier as you go on. So continue to stuff and I will work the rounds off camera and then I will come back to you once I have done 4 further rows. So I've just completed this part of the leg, so I'm just pulling up a bit of a tail now and then I am going to fasten off, and then we can stuff this leg a little more like so. Now with our other leg we are going to repeat every single step that we just did. So your leg should look like this, And then once we have repeated those steps, when we get to the top, don't fasten off. I'm going to move my stitch marker to the center of my leg, the inner part, so that if you can imagine, if that was the legs, if this was the inside of her leg, the center. Okay, this is where we're going to do a join shortly. So I'm going to continue on. So our things to remember is when we are doing our join on, we are fastening on with a slip stitch, and our first 12 stitches are in the back loop only. So I'm going to complete this leg off camera. If you want to pause and rewind back to the beginning of the video to see how we did this. If you don't remember, I know for a fact that I would not remember. Just saves me showing you all over again, but exactly the same process. So we're going to do 12 single crochets in the back loops of our stitches all the way around, keep stuff in our leg. And then when we get to row 19, that's when we're going to sort of put in our increments, and then we're going to continue up our leg at 15 stitches. So I'll catch up with you once I've completed this part of the leg. So for our next part, we want to get round to the center of the leg. So you may need to include some more stitches here. So I'm sort of going to need to include about 3 or 4 stitches to get me to the center of the leg. So if we just get round to, oops, the middle. And one more, I think. Yeah, that's about central. So once we're about central, we are now going to chain 3. Once we've chained 3, we're going to join the yarn from the center here of our leg. So we're going to put the legs together. I'm just going to take out the stitch marker now because I no longer need it there. Just make sure that stitch is nice and tight. And I'm going to insert my hook over the top of that stitch. I'm going to bring my yarn around my hook and I'm going to pull it through. This might be a bit tricky. And then once we've got to there, we're going to stitch all the way around with a single crochet. So it's going to be about 14 single crochets. 2, 3. It is a bit tricky at this stage, but just bear with it, trust the process. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 and 14. When we get to this point, we're now going to put a single crochet into each one of these 3 single crochet chain that we did. So again, this is going to be quite tricky and you may need to turn your work a little. So try and sort of lay it flat. And then we go into our stitch. After this, it does get easier. So 1, go into the next stitch. 2, and the final 3. Gets easier after that, I swear. So now we're going to put single crochet. So we're going to have 15 single crochets now all the way around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 13, 14, 15, and now we're going to go over our single crochets. So we're going to go into these stitches. So 1, 2 and 3, and then we're going to put a single crochet in each one of our stitches. I've picked up my other yarn there, which is a bit annoying. There we go. So our stitch count now, working all the way around, should be approximately 36 stitches. So we are going to do 36 stitches now for 5 more rows. Sorry, 4 more rows. So just going to go around in each one of the stitches, including over the chain 3, and what will happen is this will start to work up the round And as you will see, we're starting to form a body now. And it just connects it all up so that both our legs are attached to one another. So we just keep going. And then we're going to come to the back now. So almost back at the start. Oops. And we can check as we go as well that our legs are nice and level, and you can continue to stuff your legs as you go along. So I'm back at the start of that now, and this is how it will start to look. So we're going to need a further 3 rows of this. So I'll just keep going all the way around for 3 more rows of 36 stitches. So I'll do that off camera, and then I will join you when I have managed to make my round across all the stitches. So I'm just coming to the end now of this final row for the legs, and once I get to the center of this leg, I shall be done. So and once I've put my final single crochet, I'm going to draw up a loop, and I will cut it off, and we can weave this in later. And this is what we should have. So we can continue to stuff now, but this is where we should have got to. I hope that was useful, and I'll catch you for the next part.